So I'll just go through a few things here in the edit window. Showed you this one in the last video. This will increase or decrease the amplitude of the waveforms. Doesn't actually change anything sonically. It's just so you can better see it visually if you need to. This will do the same thing for MIDI. Here's your zoom tool. We covered that in the last video. The smart tool, you have to click this kind of outer rectangular area here, and it'll select all three of these. But the first one is the selector tool. There's a couple different options under it. We won't go into those now, but as a standard trim tool, this is the trim tool, not the selector tool. So the trim tool, when you, I'm going to make this a little bigger, and we'll zoom in a little. So you can see this file, or this audio file. This is the snare, and I've got a little slight fade on it. But if I've got this trim tool, then wherever I click and drag, it'll trim it to wherever I want. So say all this was silence, I could trim it to wherever, say this is where the first snare hit actually is. I could trim it right up to that point. And Z will undo. That's definitely a good one to know. Going to be undoing a lot of things probably. The next one is the selector tool, and that one will just select it. It'll just put your cursor wherever you want to select. It'll start playback from there. Listen to anything? There we go. And the third one's the grabber tool, and this will let you drag audio files wherever you need them. You can drag it within the track. You can drag it down onto another track. You can overlap it on a whole nother track if you want. It's Pro Tools doesn't care where you want to put the file. It'll put it wherever you want. You just got to make sure that is what you wanted. So I'm just going to undo all that. All right. So I like to leave it on the Smart tool. And with the Smart tool, what's awesome about it is that you have all three of these tools depending on where in the region of the waveform your cursor is. So if you're in the bottom half of it, it becomes your grabber tool. If you're at the top half of it, it's your selector tool. And if you're at one of the edges, it becomes your trim tool. So if you notice on this, when I'm in the fade, it's going to trim the fade to either be longer or shorter. When I'm on this side of the fade, it's going to bring that whole fade with it and trim the audio file up to that point. And same thing on the back end. So that's the Smart tool. The Scrubber tool, this is useful mostly for kind of editing purposes. If you're trying to really hone in on some sound that typically you're trying to cut something out. Let's see, probably can't hear that too well. So if you just click and drag, like say I was trying to take out that little hi-hat, I could just kind of focus in on it, and boom, it's right there. And now I could zoom in right at that point. My cursor's still selected there, and that's now, I'm just using this as an example. You could highlight that, cut it out. Usually you do that if there's like a click or a pop or, obviously something that's not going to, that you really want to cut out of a region. It wouldn't make sense for me to do that, to cut every hi-hat out of this snare track. Just showing you as an example. The pencil tool, we're probably never going to use it. That will literally redraw the waveform. If you zoom in to basically the sample level, you can redraw this waveform. And that will actually change the audio file. So if you don't want to do that, or if you mess up doing that, you better undo it, because it will alter the actual audio file in your clips region. And if you were to save and close the session, that's not undoable. So you would have permanently changed the properties of that waveform. Again, that's something for like really super fine editing type of stuff that we probably won't have a need to get into here. So that's kind of the upper left corner here, the of the edit window, and we'll pick it up in another video.